All right. So this video I'm making, it's about Alvaro Torres Gonzalez. Now, to refresh those who may have forgotten, or to inform those who have not seen my prior content dealing with Alvaro Torres Gonzalez, I will repeat some of the information that I've shared in previous videos about his behavior. Al is somebody that I grew up with. Al is my father. He is my biological father. He is someone that attended my high school that I can recall. I don't remember him. I don't have very many memories of him. But I do remember him from high school, and I do remember him at college as well. And he is someone that I did not know he was my father until much later. Recently, recently I found out he was my father. I had no idea because he went to my same high school. He looked the same age as me. So I thought he was like a peer or a classmate. I didn't know that he was my father. I had no idea. But he's somebody that I have a long history of sexual abuse with. Now, Al is not the problem in this dynamic, although he did cause a lot of damage. I'm having to expose him because he has tried many times to put a hit out on me. He has tried multiple times to murder me. And it just seems like no matter how much I ignore him and I stay quiet about him, he continues to try to violate my safety. And it's gotten to the point where I've had to speak about him, and a lot of my supporters have encouraged me to speak about him and his behavior. Well, Al has a histrionic pattern of sexually assaulting me publicly. Let me backtrack to 4 years old. When I was 4 years old, he sexually assaulted me via vaginal penetration. It was an extreme sexual assault to the point where it caused severe injuries, severe hemorrhaging, internal bleeding. It caused it caused me a lot of pain and suffering, and those injuries followed me to this day because of how badly he assaulted me. It's very difficult for me to describe how bad it was because I don't remember all of the details, but I could say that what he did to me, it messed up the way I walk. It messed up the way I play sports. I mean, I was always athletic, but I could never reach my full potential because the repeated sexual assaults that he inflicted on me growing up as a child. He just wouldn't stop. He wouldn't stop touching me. You know what I'm saying? Like he wouldn't leave me alone. He wouldn't get the hint that I was not interested. He just wouldn't get the hint that I was not interested in him, as a child. And I had to be removed from him because of how often he would inflict sexual abuse towards me. He was overbearing, he just couldn't keep his hands to himself. He just wouldn't leave me alone. The sexual harassment, the sexual advances, he just would not leave me alone. And when I was 4 years old, that was the primary attack. That was the first attack that he made against me, was when I was 4 years old. And he just kept doing it. He just wouldn't stop. I don't know why, but he just wouldn't stop. And there was a pattern of him and a consistency of him assaulting me sexually without my consent, without my knowledge. And with him, I tried to do the very best that I could to stay quiet and ignore him, because I thought at some point if I stayed quiet and I ignored him, that he would leave me alone. He would get the hint that I'm not interested and that he would walk away. I thought if I had ignored him and ignored his insults and ignore his advances, that he would leave me alone eventually. I really did believe that. But he would harass me so much to where I reactively abused him back. Like, for example, like it was a point in time where I was a kid and I was extremely malnourished. And I'd be in the school cafeterias eating lunch because I was extremely hungry. Like, that was my only meal throughout the day. And he would take all of my food, and he would do it every single day, to where I was so weak and I was dehydrated and I was starving. My stomach would growl so loudly to where people thought I farted, because my stomach was growling so badly. My bones, like my ribs, were starting to show. My bones were starting to seep through my skin. I had these really dark black circles under my eyes. I was exhausted. I was falling asleep in class because I was so hungry and malnourished. And he just kept taking the food from my plate, just kept taking the food every day. Every day he would come and he would sit in front of me no matter where I sat. I tried to move in different places. I tried to go sit outside. I tried to go sit somewhere else. And he would come and snatch all of my food off my plate. And then my sister helped him. He just kept doing it every single day. And then it just got to the point where I just started throwing stuff at him, because I was getting tired of him always taking my food and attacking me and starting stuff with me and bullying me all the time. So I started throwing stuff at him. I started attacking him. I started hitting him because he wouldn't leave me alone. It was many times where I was respectful and I was humble, and I was like, can you please leave me alone? I don't want to be bothered. And he just wouldn't stop attacking me. He would not stop taking my food. So I started hitting him. I will admit, because I had gone to many adults about this, and because I was in like an all-white school and I was clearly being racially profiled, a lot of the adult figures that were responsible for ensuring the peace and making sure that it was a bully-free zone turned the other cheek. They knew I was being bullied. They knew that I was being disrespected. They knew I was being attacked physically. But a lot of these teachers were white teachers and they were racist. So they ignored the value of my life. So I was left to fend for myself. But anytime I tried to stop him from taking my food, the teachers would throw me under the bus and be like, hey, what you doing? You're getting a write-up. You got detention. But all I'm trying to do is stop him from taking my food so I don't fall asleep in class. You understand what I'm saying? Like, these white people, these Decepticons, did not have value for my life. And it was clear that they were willing to let him continue to take food off my plate until I starved to death. So I had to fight back. So I eventually it got to the point where I had to put hands on him. I had to. Because he was going to keep doing that. He was going to keep bullying me until, like, me throwing stuff at him, like, lightly, like, like, say if it was a spoon or a napkin or a piece of food, I just threw it at him, or a milk carton or water or, some milk, I threw it at him, and it didn't stop him from coming back and taking my food. So I put hands on him. I fought him, I punched him, I kicked him, and he stopped taking my food. But that was the only way to get him to stop, because I had to stand up for myself. You understand? Like, that was one of those moments where I feel like, life was testing me, and it was an experience of a lifetime that taught me that I needed to stand up for myself. So I put hands on him. I hit him. I had to.
If you take a picture of Jamal, it's $5.
I don't have $5.
Oh, damn. Doesn't surprise me.
Like I said, I don't know. They may not have nothing to do with none of this, but I'm just making sure. That's all. I'm just trying to make sure I'm okay and that I'm safe. But anyway, yeah. So when I started to attack him physically, I did start to notice that he left me alone more often. You understand? Like at first, he would mess with me every day, every minute of every day. But when I started to put my hands on him, and it got to that point. He forced my hand. You know what I'm saying? You know how some bullies, how they bully and bully and bully till you're forced to kind of have to stand up for yourself physically. Like you may stand up for yourself, like, and follow the rules, but like if you do it enough times, you try to get the teacher involved. The teachers don't listen. They don't take it seriously. Or, you tell them to stop, or you ignore them, and you try to do like a peaceful protest. They keep coming until you punch them in the face. He was one of those bullies where he kept coming no matter what, no matter what rules I followed in order to like kind of show him that I didn't accept his behavior, and that I wasn't okay with being bullied. He just kept coming back until I punched him in the face, or until I kicked him in the leg, or you know what I'm saying? Like when I punched him in the face, he came back, but it wasn't as often. When I kicked him in the leg, it was less often than the first time. When I pushed him in the bushes and he had a severe nosebleed, you know what I'm saying? Like he kept harassing me, so I pushed him as hard as I could. But I wasn't trying to like hurt his body. I was just trying to push him away from me. You know what I mean? And he fell into the bushes, and his nose had hit a branch, and he started like bleeding real bad. But I had no intent on hurting him like that. It was just I was trying to protect myself because he kept touching me inappropriately. He kept trying to kiss me. He kept sexually assaulting me, and I just snapped, and I just pushed him. I snapped. You know what I'm saying? I stood up for myself. I did what I had to do. He was in my way. He was blocking me from eating properly. He was blocking me from having proper nutrition. He was blocking me from having water, slapping water out of my hand, slapping my food tray out of my hand. Like he was really being a bully, and you could see that I was starving. So I hit him. I put hands on him. I physically attacked him. I did what I had to do. It's not something that I wanted to do, but I did it because he forced my hand. So, I mean, he still bullies me, but it was less about him taking food and more about him trying to control my life and sabotage my relationships with people. He was one of the people that told me that if he couldn't have me, that nobody could. Oh, I'm seeing more drunk people. That's strange, because the first guy that was drunk, it was a party or something. What's going on? It's strange. I'm not trying to get you in trouble. I'm just protecting myself. I got some people that tried to hurt me earlier. Don't take it personal. If you're not the problem, just disregard it, please. Yeah, if they ask, I explain, because I don't want them to think I'm some nut. Just to give people the benefit of the doubt, even if the behavior is apparent that I'm being gang stalked. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, because if I don't recognize them, or if I don't know who they are, or, say if there's like a slight chance that they could be a supporter, I just try to let them know, like, hey, I try to let them know my situation, or, briefly tell them my situation so that they understand, oh, you're just recording because, oh, okay, I get it. And then they'll start to see, like, they may be like unsuspecting people, like that have nothing to do with the situation, and then they may find out later, oh, you did that to protect. Okay, I see. Okay, I get it. But it'll come out later that some of them are gang stalkers, and they just try to play it off like they wouldn't do nothing wrong, because this happens often enough to where I am justified for recording. Especially if I'm out here and I have to tell my story. I ain't got no place to live. I'm out on the streets all the time. So if I have to, if I have to tell my story by, recording these videos, at least I have extra incentive. But, no, okay, Al. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, he would continuously take my food and stuff, so I had to get violent. And then he kept touching me. I had to get violent because I told him to stop. I told him to leave me alone. I ignored him, and he wouldn't stop. So then I had to attack him because he kept trying to kiss me. He kept trying to hug me, and I told him to stop, and he wouldn't stop. And I don't know what he was going to do. I don't know what he was capable of, and I didn't want to make that risk. And like I said, I was well within my rights to protect myself, because if he's trying to touch me and I told him not to, I slap his hand away. He pushes me on the ground. Like, a lot of times he was the one that was physically violent towards me first. Most of the time, that was the dynamic. So it was an act of self-defense. But there were times where I had to physically attack him to protect my life. Like when he would take my food, and I did everything I could to like kind of tell him to stop, but he wouldn't. So I had to punch him. I had to, you know what I'm saying? I had to do what I had to do to protect my life. So, okay, so now we're in high school, and he sexually assaults me, and he got me pregnant at this time, high school. He attacked me. He asked me to perform fellatio, and I told him no. And I walked away. I went to the restroom, and he just barges in. He barges in the restroom while I'm using the bathroom, and I don't know how he got in. I thought I locked the door. But I don't know if he got a key from one of the workers there. Like, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know how he got in, but I was in one of those bathrooms in like those high schools where it's like the teacher bathroom, where it's like it's like one toilet in there, one sink. You could lock the door. The only person that could open the door is the janitor. Not even the teachers can open that. And once it's locked, the teachers can't even get in. So the only ones that can open that door is the janitors, and I think the principal, or the principal, the assistant principal, and the lead principal have the keys, have the master keys to unlock that bathroom door. So how did he get in? Well, you're going to have to ask either a janitorial staff, the assistant principal, or the lead principal as to how he got in. I don't know. But he barged in there like it was like he had to use the bathroom, and I was interrupting him, like he needed to use the bathroom, like there weren't other bathrooms in the school that he could have walked to. You understand? So yeah, he barged in there. I don't know how he got in there. I don't. And next thing you know, he sexually assaults me, and it resulted in a pregnancy. And he even admitted to me, to my face, that he would have sex with me, trap me intentionally to get me pregnant so that he could have control over my life. He admitted this to my face. So I guess now we have the answer as to how I got pregnant or how my first child was conceived at 16, but I gave birth at 17. So I guess now we have that answer now, how that happened. Al was responsible for that. And I guess now we know how I had certain STDs and infections at the age of 4 if I wasn't sexually active, and I wasn't promiscuous. So I guess now we have the answer to that question, is Alvaro being responsible for that? Now we have that answer. But at first, these were questions that I always wondered, because I didn't understand why I had an infection or why I had to live with a disease at such a young age when I was not promiscuous, I was not sexually active. Al is responsible for that. He's responsible for what happened to me. Okay, so yes, when I was 16, going on 17, he assaulted me in a solo bathroom that had a lock in it. So he had to have either known someone that had the key to that bathroom, or he had a key to that bathroom somehow, some way. And he broke in and assaulted me. And he intentionally got me pregnant so that he could ruin my high school career and contribute to me being hazed. He did this intentionally. Okay, so another event that took place was in college. His behavior had started to get worse, and he followed me around a lot. And this was like during the time where, like, when I seen him, I didn't recognize him. I didn't know that was him. He looked different, so I didn't know that was him. And so I saw him, and he worked at the college that I was going to, and he was one of the cafeteria staff. Hold on, give me a moment, y'all. Be patient with me. Bear with me. Like I said, I'm just trying to protect myself because I got a lot of people who did horrible things to me as a child, and they were more than willing to sacrifice my life and my safety to keep that secret. And even when I stayed quiet, they still disrespected me and hazed me and humiliated me. So that's why I'm just trying to be aware of my surroundings, to just make sure that I'm not dealing with more gang stalkers. That's all. So I'm just trying to make sure. I don't know who this person is. I have a bad feeling about them, so that's why it's just something just doesn't feel right. All these people walking past around this time of day, like I said, I be around here. I know what I'm talking about. Something's just not right. I just want y'all to see what I see and understand where I'm coming from before making judgments. Okay, so this is now we're moving forward to college. And I see he's one of the cafeteria staff. And I didn't recognize him. You know, when he was attacking me, I didn't know that he was my father. I didn't know his name. And so, I didn't remember him when I seen him in college. So I just, it was what it was. But I just remember that when I was going to college, every time I would get food there, I'd see him. He'd greet me. He was somewhat friendly. He was polite. He displayed proper manners. And because I didn't recognize him, I thought he was solid. I thought he was cool. We all did. A lot of people thought he was cool at first. Because he seemed, like kind of chill or whatever, like go with the flow, like he's just doing his job, And he was very friendly, and he looked young enough to be a peer. So it was like I noticed how like different people kind of just like socialized with him, and he was always a pretty sociable guy. Like I definitely say that he was a sociopath for sure, but he was very sociable. Like, how a lot of people love the Joker because like he knows how to like make people laugh, and he knows how to function in a social environment, but he just chooses to be a monster instead. Well, Al, on the other hand, he didn't really show his monstrous ways when we were in college right away. It wasn't until a little bit later to where his true colors started to come out. But at first, a lot of people got along with him. We all got, like, all the people that I hung out, all my friends and stuff, like, we all got along with him. We kicked it. We had fun. We smoked weed. We drank, and it was just one of those things where we all thought that Al was cool as hell, like, until me and him start dating. This is where, like, I'm getting a lot of pressure from my mother to start dating men, and she starts asking me about my love life, and I'm not really ready to tell her that I like women because I already know how she is, how she's going to react, how she's going to do this and that, and so I didn't tell my mother anything so about me liking women, because I didn't feel like it was really any of her business, to be honest, and I didn't feel comfortable having that conversation. So I would be honest, what I did, I feel like that was kind of unfair. If I'm taking responsibility for my actions and my behavior, I felt like it was wrong for me to date guys when I knew I didn't like guys like that. Like, at first I didn't know because I wasn't aware of my sexuality, so I didn't know, it was like a subconscious thing. It was like a hunch but it didn't really click until I got older, because I really wasn't focused on dating at all. I was really focused on my education and my paper. That's always what I was about. But when I started getting older and my mother started kind of pressuring me into like dating and stuff like that, I guess I tried it out, because if I hadn't tried it out, I wouldn't have known what I wanted and what I liked. But I felt like it was kind of wrong of me after a certain point to keep dating guys when I knew I just didn't like them like that. Like, I didn't know that I like women, but I knew for a fact I did not like men like that at all. And I feel like I shouldn't have continued to date guys when I knew I didn't. But my mother was always hounding me and asking me why I didn't have a boyfriend. And I just felt that pressure, and like I said, because of the sexual abuse that my mother allowed to happen to me, I thought that it would have been even more dangerous for me to admit that I like women after a certain point. Because when I was in college, I knew I liked women. I just didn't know I exclusively liked women. I just questioned, like, do I like guys? Let me try. Let me see if I have anything. And then it was like, nope, nothing there. I'm barking up the wrong tree. That in college, that's when it clicked for me. And unfortunately, Al was one of those people that made me realize that I did not like guys. It wasn't him specifically. It was just the pattern of me dating guy after guy after guy after guy and feeling nothing. That's when I knew men are not my cup of tea. It's not personal. It's nothing that they did wrong. Even despite the abuse that I had went through, I've had men and women sexually abuse me. But I just feel like on an unconscious level, I feel like there was some awareness that I just like. There was my family members that knew before I did. Because they could see like the signs there. They knew. That's why that's why some of my relatives were disrespecting me like that, especially Al, because they all knew that I liked women before I knew. Like, they knew at a very young age. Like, I think I was about 3 or 4 when they realized this. You notice how all of these abusive, all the abuse, the primary abuse started, the origins were around when I was 3 years old. My family members knew that I like women at a young age before I knew. They knew that I was transgender at a young age before I knew. You understand? Like, right around the age of 3, when I first got my chipped tooth, and when I got my tooth chipped, and just like the start of a lot of bad things happened around 3 or 4 years old. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, things that I didn't even remember until now, or until recently. I won't say now, but like recently. All the origins of what happened to me at 3 years old followed me into my late 20s. These are things that happened a long time ago. Like I said, that I was hoping that would have stayed buried, or at least, like, if I had stayed quiet, I just would have thought that they had moved on to another victim or moved on from that experience. But no, every day from when I was 3 years old until now, they've been doing the same stuff, taking food, stealing money, stealing clothes, hazing me, trying to humiliate me publicly, isolating me from any healthy support, follow me around in stores and publicly and on public platforms, and causing a public disturbance for other people who will bear witness. And this is the same behavior that I've been dealing with since I was 3 years old. And it's gotten to the point where if people that don't know me are starting to see patterns, like they see me around and they're like, hey, I saw you last week and that same dude was following you last time. Aren't you the one I saw that backpack? Or I saw you with the bandana. I saw you with the shoes on. Weren't you that same person I saw last time? And wasn't Al following you last time? Like, no. Like, it was some people that didn't even know me, but they knew him. And they were like, is that Al following you? Do you know him? Yeah. Do you know him? Like, these are conversations that I'm having with some people that I didn't know. Or these are like supporters, that may not have known who he was, but they knew who I was. And they're like, why is this creepy dude always following you? Why is this creepy dude always talking trash about you? Why is he, what's going on? And at first I wasn't aware. And then when I started to become aware, I just ignored it because I learned at a very young age that any adult figure that I went to for help not only disrespected me, but gave my abusers the platform, the power to continue to disrespect me. So when I told the teacher, a lot of the teachers would go and tell my bullies that I told them that, what I said. And then the abuse got worse. So that trained me psychologically not to depend on adult or authority figures for help. It taught me to have vanity and pride at a very young age. Because anytime I went to an adult when I was a child, they made it worse. Or they did nothing to help me. They just turned the other cheek and just acted like nothing happened. Or they blamed me for what happened. They say, oh, well, what'd you do to him? What'd you do to him to make him upset? Or, you had to have done something. Or, well, you know how girls could be. Or, like they were just, like it was clear that their prejudice towards me being transgender or me being black has something to do with them ignoring the obvious signs that I'm being mistreated. So that taught me at a very young age that I should have some pride, because that's the only way that people felt like I respected myself. Or they'd be like, oh, tattletale, snitch, blah, 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 blah. But I was just going to the teacher for help. I didn't call the cops on nobody. I was just going to the teacher for help because I was being bullied in school. And I'm trying to get help because I don't know how far the bullying is going to go. It's gone far enough to where other classmates are highly suggesting that I go tell a teacher. They're the ones telling me, hey, you need to go tell a teacher. Why should I? And I'm over here arguing with them like, why should I? They don't never listen to me. They don't never take me seriously. They don't never do nothing to help me. They always love and support the abuser. What's the point of wasting my time and then putting myself in more danger and causing myself more problems? I know there's some of them were just trying to help, but I got defensive because every time I went to someone for help, they would either neglect the obvious, or they would contribute to the abuse even more. So it seemed like anytime I opened my mouth and said anything at all, it got worse. So it trained me to not only be prideful, but it trained me to be silent when I'm being abused. It was people who had the power to stop Al in his tracks early on when I was a child. The abuse was there. The evidence was there. And a lot of people who had power and authority chose not to get involved because they were transphobic. That was the main reason, because they were transphobic and they didn't feel like I deserved to be stood up for. So, that's how they felt. I couldn't force them to do the right thing. I had to let it go. But nonetheless, I took my classmates' advice. But once the authority figures made it clear to me that they did not value my life or my safety, I had to be quiet. What else was there to say? And then it got to the point where, certain classmates started to beat his ass. Because he kept putting his hands on me. He kept touching me. And it was clear that I was trying to be Gandhi about it. And he just kept trying to, he kept attacking me. And someone just beat his ass. There were some of them that just beat his ass. And it got to that point, because if I'm walking away, like say if class is being dismissed and I walk out the classroom, I'm walking down the hallway to the cafeteria because I'm hungry, and he's always walking up behind me trying to attack me. If classmates see that and their morals guide them to defend me or to protect me, that was their choice to do so. It may not have had anything to do, like some of them I didn't talk to on a daily, we weren't friends. They just got involved because they got tired of witnessing him disrespecting me all the time, every day. So I guess they just decided to defend me because they realized that the adults that were there were not willing to do their job properly. So they were willing to step in. I got that. Those are just moments where people's characters is tested. I understand why some people chose not to get involved, and that was their right to do so. But there were some people that defended me because it was his behavior towards me was bothering them. And so they got involved. They did what they had to do. They did what they felt was necessary. And I appreciate them for having my back. I don't know who to thank because, like I said, these were people I didn't know. So like I said before, when people you don't know start to ask questions and get suspicious and, you know what I'm saying? Like people that don't have a reason to screw you over. Like these people, they didn't have a reason. They had nothing to gain out of screwing me over because they didn't know me. I didn't know them. So it was like when we saw each other, we walked right past each other because it was no beef. There was nothing to be negative towards each other towards. You know what I'm saying? And so these were people that I had never spoken to a day in my life. They had never spoken to me, but they started to defend me because they were like, look, I don't know you all that well, but I'm getting tired of this. I'm getting tired of watching him doing it. I'm getting tired of that. Oh, well, I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate you having my back. And some of them shook my hand because they told me that they respected the way I handled that situation. And some people started to be kind and compassionate and they started showing support. And some of them became lifelong friends. Like we became friends from that experience, you know, and it was mutual respect and they had compassion for me. I had compassion for them. It's like we learned to have each other's back, you know, and I made some friends that way. But I swear, Al did not like that at all. He did not like me having friends. But more specifically, he did not like me having a girlfriend or a girl at all. Just like my mother. And the way he behaved when he found out that there was somebody that liked me, whether male or female, especially a female. Words cannot describe how angry he was. And he made that known that it pissed him off at that time. He did not like that at all, and he did not hesitate for a second to make that known. And there was times where he even kind of got like almost violent with some of the people that, like it could be like a guy, he may give me a compliment and say, oh, that outfit is really nice, or you look really pretty, or, you know, it'd be harmless. Like he'll, you know what I'm saying? He may not even like be interested in me like that. But he's just giving me a compliment. Like it may be a lifelong friend and we're buddies and it ain't nothing to it. Like it's nothing more. It was platonic. And it's like, oh man, you look great today, man. I love those shoes. And then Al would just like lose his noodle, man. His jealousy, man, it really concerned me. It made me scared for some people who like gave me any positive attention. Like I said, some of the people that were my relatives, when they started seeing people like respecting me, having compassion for me, defending me, giving me compliments, giving me any positive attention, their jealousy would boil. And I would get kind of scared for them because, like I said, at this point, I'm kind of used to, I've been kind of like slightly desensitized, and not like apathetic desensitized, but like emotionally prepared for the fact that somebody in my family is going to attack someone that openly shows support for me. Like it was points in times where I was getting nervous and downright concerned for some of the people that openly show support for me, whether they gave and they gave me a compliment. I would get concerned for their safety because I was one of those people where he did not hesitate to hurt someone if he felt like if they were a threat and they were going to take me away from him. Like he did not, it's very difficult to explain, but the things that he was willing to do or capable of doing to my supporters that openly complimented me, it was a concern. I was concerned. Like, I'm not saying they couldn't handle themselves, but it's just, Al, he's dangerous. That's why I was concerned for them, because he's dangerous. Like, the things he did to me, he like, you know what I'm saying? He claimed that I was somebody that he loved dearly, you know, and what he did to me, the things he did to me was horrible. And he claimed that I was somebody that was near and dear to his heart. Imagine what he would have done to somebody that he did not know and did not care about and saw as a threat to his access to me. I don't know what he would have done. I don't know what he would have done. But he's capable of doing something very bad, very lethal. And I was concerned. And I almost wanted to like be like, no, don't. When you see him around me, when you see him, or when you see me, look both ways to make sure he's not around before you compliment me. Like that was all. Like I was on that type of energy. I was frantic. I was nervous. I was worrying. I was biting my nails like like in the cartoons where they be chattering their nails and stuff, teeth chattering on their nails. That's how I was. Like I was concerned because he would get hot. Like his cheeks would turn red. You know what I'm saying? Like his neck would turn like a dark pink, and he would like start cracking his neck and shit and popping his knuckles and stuff. And I was like, oh no, when he does that, I already know he's about to mess somebody up. And I didn't want him to hurt me or anybody that was a supporter of mine. It was really bad. It's really bad. It was really bad. I'm like I said, I'm not trying to scare people. I'm not trying to have people look at him in a negative light. It's just he's tried to harm me so many times, especially while I was carrying a child, that I'm not only concerned, it forced me to be concerned for my child's safety, but I was concerned for anyone else who tried to help me. I'm concerned for my life. Al is unhinged, and there have been many supporters that have so many so to where I can't say any names, but they sat me down and was like, hey, you need to expose his character. You need to do it. And I reached out to local resources to get help, but I never mentioned his name because, like I said, I didn't want him to start hurting people. So I didn't say anyone's name. I just said, that I have an ex-boyfriend who just so happens to be the father of my child, and he keeps trying to hurt me. He tried to attack me while I was pregnant, and I don't know what to do. And I didn't give any names, but I was looking out for myself, and I was trying to protect the lives of children that were involved. And the only reason why I'm saying something about it now is because it's that same situation where he keeps trying to hurt kids. He keeps trying to hurt people. And it's gone far enough. Like he's caused enough damage and he's hurt enough people. And I was forced to do the inevitable, which was expose his character. And this is not something I wanted to do. I don't want to talk about nobody. You understand? Like I was born on the principles of if I have anything bad to say to someone, I either say it to their face or don't say anything at all. But what if I'm dealing with someone that's on the narcissistic spectrum, and me telling them about themselves or shining a light on their character or putting a mirror in their face without their mask, what was that going to do to me? Because I had made that mistake before and I almost died because of it. But that was before I knew about narcissism. When I had started discovering some of the people that I was around were narcissists, and I started to call them out, and I even started calling them narcissists, which is the most stupid thing you could ever do. But I didn't know anything about narcissism or how to handle myself dealing with a narcissist. If I had known then what I knew now, maybe I could have got out that situation safely. But no, I had made that mistake and called them out and tried to help them and blah. No, that was stupid. But I was unaware. I wasn't educated on narcissism, and I had to learn the hard way so that I could handle narcissists differently now. So when I see narcissists now, I know how to get rid of them. But back then, I didn't know nothing. So but Al, I didn't know he was a narcissist until after I cut him off. So I handled the situation the way that professionals would advise, which is slowly walk out. But the problem with Al is that he's not an average narcissist. He's a sociopath. So when I did everything that the professionals advise step by step, right? And I got the spark notes on some of these narcissistic books on how to deal with narcissists one-on-one. That didn't work with him because he's a sociopath. So I had to use the resources that I had to ask for help. I had to go to the community and ask them for help. And most of them had already known who he was and what he was doing anyway. They were just waiting on me to ask for help. Do you understand? So now there's that. They did what they could do. The community did what they could do. But now it was on me to expose his character, which is what I'm doing now. But at first, the community could only do what they could do, which is keeping him away from me or popping up whenever he tried to talk to me. Whenever he tried to talk to me now, the community has my back now because I had asked them for help. But before, they wasn't able to get involved because I didn't ask them for help. Some of them didn't know what was going on. But then when I asked them for help, they started helping me. But I had to make that step. I had to be vulnerable. I had to be humble and ask for help. So when I did that, he started coming around more often, the community started to have my back. My supporters started to protect me and look out for me because the higher power, aka the universe, saw my efforts. Therefore, my efforts was rewarded, but with protection. Do you understand? And now I have that dynamic where he's always around and he keeps trying to talk to me, but he can't get close enough. Or sometimes he does get close enough and he tries to talk to me, but I ignore him. And most of the time he walks away if I do. But there have been times where he kept trying to talk to me and somebody will pop up and tell him to leave. Somebody will pop up and get him to leave me alone. Somebody came to my defense. Somebody bear witness somewhere and helped me. But before I made that step, he had way too much access to me. He put his hands on me way too much. He was sexually abusing me for way too long, way too many times. And he kept trying to get me pregnant over and over and over again to put me in my place and then take my children away from me. So that was something that he chose to do. He chose to be sexually abusive towards me for the most part. He was sexually abusive. He was also emotionally abusive when he would disrespect me for being assaulted, even though he caused it, even though he knew I was the victim. He disrespected me publicly. He would say that I smelled like fish, and he would like scream out tuna fish, or he would get other people to chime in and say fish tacos, fish fillet, fish, tuna fish. Like he would disrespect me right after he assaulted me. And then he would try to get as many people involved as possible. But the thing is with him is that when he did that, it was a lot of people that I'm very blessed for this, by the way. I want to express my gratitude. I'm very blessed to the people that respected me enough not to participate and checked him, because he tried to get a lot of people to come in and attack me and disrespect me and do all that. And there was a lot of people who chose to take my side, even if they were his friends. They respected me, and they're like, no, I can't disrespect Poe. Like, no. And they came and they told me what he was doing behind my back. You know what I'm saying? And how he was disrespecting me, and it made them feel uncomfortable. So this is what gave me the power to break up with him when I was dating him in college, because I had no idea that he was disrespecting me behind my back. I had no idea. And then when I broke up with him, he started to be more openly disrespectful. And he started better finding people who were willing to participate in disrespecting me. And I'll when the time is right, I will, because there's some people that I need to name that participated with him in disrespecting me. But right now, this video is about him. But when he tried to do it when we were together, it was a lot of people that did not support him, and they kicked him to the curb, and he was by himself. Right where I left him before I started being cool with him. He's by himself. I noticed that. Like, he was always a loner, always by himself. And I thought it was cool at first, but then when I started to evaluate his behavior, I understood why. I understood completely why. Because his behavior. At first I felt bad, because I didn't know he was talking about me behind my back. But when people started to come to me, they were mutual friends. They were supporters. They came to me and was like, no, he being disrespectful. I kicked him to the curb. I'm like, oh, for real? He's doing that? And these people are credible. Like, they're honest people. So I'm like, they would have no reason to lie. Whereas Al, on the other hand, is a bit of a manipulative liar. He's a manipulative liar. So when they were coming to me, it made sense, just because of how, I couldn't, when I was dating him and, my friends wanted to spend a little quality time with me, because I'd be around him most of the day, even when I was studying, or, say if I went to class, he'd sit out and wait for me. And it seemed sweet at first, but after a certain point of time, it was times where I wanted to spend some time alone with my friends, and he would follow us. I hang out with my group of friends and he'd follow us. And then my friends would be like, hey, is that your boyfriend? And I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. Al? I'm like, hold on. You didn't have to go with us. But he wasn't invited. I hate to say, I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but I'm having a girls' night, girls' night out, or I'm having girl time with my friends, and he's around. And I'm like, Al, you don't have to come, right? You could go hang out with your friends. He's like, no, I want to come. And I'm like, I don't know how to tell him, because it's me and my friends, and they don't know him like that. I haven't properly introduced him yet. And I wasn't it was like it happened right then and there. And, I wanted to introduce him properly, but I had already told him at the beginning of the day that I was going to be spending time with my friends, and I'll introduce him later. I had communicated with him. It wasn't like it was something last minute. I was like, oh, I'm going to hang out with my friends today. And, so you can go hang out with your guys, or, whatever you want to do. If you got business or work you got to take care of, it's all right. Because I'm going to go hang out with my friends today. I communicated with him. It wasn't like I played with his feelings or let him on or disrespected him. It was just, I communicated with him when I had to go to class, when I had to go to work, because he was my boyfriend at the time. So I didn't want to, do him like that. So, anyway. So, yeah, I told him, I was like, I'm going to spend some time with my friends right now. So I'll be available after school. We can hang out then. And, he's like, all right. I'm thinking he's okay with it, because he's going with it. Then when my friends pop up and he's still standing there, and we're walking and we're going around and we're hanging out, spending time together, he's following us. And I'm like, I didn't even notice, because I'm laughing, chilling with the homegirls. And they're telling me hey, is that your boyfriend? Or some of them didn't know. Most of them didn't know who he was yet, because he and I were freshly, these were red flags at the very beginning, when I first, it's maybe a week of dating. And what I'm saying, some of my friends may have visited me because they're going to a different school, and they wanted to check in on me and say hi, and we're just having a good time. And most of them didn't know who he was, so they're like, hey, who's that random guy that keeps following us? And I'm like, huh? Oh, Al. And then, one of my other besties is like, oh, that's her boyfriend. And, we're all like, huh? Looking at each other funny. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I said goodbye to him yet, or I don't think I properly dismissed him yet, respectfully. And I'm like, oh, hey, Al, you don't have to hang out with the girls. We're having girl time. You could hang out with your friends, or, if you have any homework or studying or work, you don't have to, come with us. He's like, oh no, I'm, he kind of just invited himself. And I was like, oh, I appreciate you wanting to be here to support me and my friends, but, just respectfully, I didn't say it in front of them. I pulled them to the side and said it, but I was like, hey, you don't have to be with my friends, I'm just, trying to, spend a little bit of time with them. And he seemed very disappointed. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Maybe another time. But, we can hang out later, or, do something later. But right now, I just want to spend some quality time with my friends, if that's all right with you. I'm trying to be nice and be considerate, because he may have been wanting to spend some time, and I wanted to be emotionally considerate. And then I hung out with my friends again, and he did that. And this isn't the same group, but it's some of the people that were my best friends that were in that group, I was hanging out with, because they were going to the same school as me. And so yeah, we were spending time together, you know, and I had just gotten out of class, and I knew that he was supposed to be in class, and um, I guess he was just there, and you know, my friend's coming to me like, "Hey, is that your boyfriend again?" Like, he's kind of sitting right here, like all up in our conversation. Like, it's kind of making me uncomfortable. Can you say something to him? And I didn't even notice he was sitting right behind me. And I'm like, oh, snap. He's right there the whole time. Now, we weren't talking about anything inappropriate. It was just like we were having friend talk. Like, we were just talking about, like catching up and stuff like, oh, what's going on in your class and blah, blah, blah. But we just wanted to have that time. He was just like sitting way too close. Like, you know, it was that clear social cue. Like, bro, I've been hanging around you all day. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to hang out with my friend. Like, you know, there's times where I want to, you know, she was like, yeah, can you say something to him? Because he's been doing this a lot and it's making me uncomfortable. Like, she checked me on that. She told me about that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to sit down and have that talk with him and establish that boundary. So I did. I sat down with him and I was like, hey, Al, you know, I know that you want to spend time with me and I appreciate that, but there's going to be times where I want to spend alone time with my friends. So, you know, I know that, you know, sitting next to me, you're not engaging, so you're letting me do my own thing. And I appreciate that. But when I say I want alone time with my friends, you know, I kind of want you far enough away to where you're not in our conversation. You're not sitting too closely by. Like, I feel like as we were adults, so I shouldn't have had to explain that. I feel like that was a major red flag that I should have broken up with him. But, you know, my family members were just like that. The only difference was that I couldn't talk to them like I talked to him. Like, if I established that boundary with my family, I was beaten. But if I said that to him, he was the lesser of two evils, is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, but anyway, that's all for now. Thank y'all for being patient, and I look forward to making more content for you guys. Peace out.